I'd like to think that I was a good kid when I was younger, although me and my friends did sneak onto someone else's property.
That may have gone caught.
How did this...
How did this handsome 6'9" ripped specimen of a man, or potato, wind up in such a mess? Let's find out!
You know, they really don't make car parks the way they used to. They were just so freeing and parkable when we were younger. And they're car parks. Car parks. That's the way we like them. It's rather bad, really. You know, my cousin actually said,
Will you two ravishing young men have anything else tonight?
I'll have
all of your beer.
And for you, sir.
well, I'm in the mood for your finest breasts. And the legs, too.
So, the chicken.
Well, if you don't have any chicken, I'll have the turkey.
Very well.
I'll make it work one day, Patricia.
You'll what?
Next door, it's clearly broken. So, anyway, back to my cousin in Peru.
I don't want to hear about your seasoned fried noodles, lad. You're boring.
I'm a very engaging man.
Well, you've never done anything exciting in your life. All you do is drink and complain about how boring of a life your friends have. You've never blown bubbles. You've never peekabooed. You've never even trespassed.
Boy, you've never done any of those things.
I've trespassed on multiple occasions.
Okay.
It all started one time.
For most of my life, I've lived in the city, but for around 2 or 3 years, my family moved to the good old Irish countryside. It was a bigger house with a bigger garden. We were in a peaceful, tucked-away spot with just a few neighbouring houses nearby, so it was very tranquil and quiet. Plus, it was only half an hour away from our old house in the city, which we rented out to some people for the time being. But still, it was nice to get away from it all and connect with nature. I was 11 when this happened, which is fairly young, but I wasn't entirely stupid. Not to mention, I had 2 friends by my side.
Run away, get me in it!
Well, you're in it. We'll call them Mattress and Coffee. Guys, they don't like me using their real names. Shut up. Coffee is Mattress's younger brother by a few years, but he still wasn't entirely stupid, you know? They came to the countryside house for sleepovers, and we've had plenty of fun times like building forts, playing tag, and knitting. There were lots of forests and secret spots around the peaceful neighborhood, and we made sure to explore all of it! Because, you know, we were just kids. We liked climbing trees, arriving back a bit more grubby than when we started, and seeing where the forest would take us. No. No. They had no pathways, you just had to make your own way around. In one of the forests, we found an abandoned tent in the middle of nowhere, and it was spooky but cool.
Where's the part where you sin?
Yeah, and why didn't you have a nose?
I'm getting there, you flapjack.
Anyways, eventually Mattress, Coffee, and I finished exploring every forest in the area. Except one. This big forest was on a very high hill just across from my house. It looked really fun to explore, so on a warm summer's day when a sleepover finally came around, we all agreed to go up. What could go wrong? We told my mum that we were off to go climb trees in a nearby meadow, and she approved. However, my younger sister overheard us and wanted to tag along, so we had to bring it with us. Us 4 set off to explore, in a place that wasn't a meadow. It was hard to get into the forest because of all the thorn bushes at the start. Not to mention, the branches were trying to stab us. It was tight at first, but getting scratched didn't stop us. We got past a clump of mud and trekked up the hillside forest. We didn't know what we were going to find. Maybe a nice view of the countryside? Oh, but no. We found something much more strange, mind-boggling, outlandish, and downright bizarre.
It's a bit on the nose, don't you think?
You said I didn't have a nose.
So what odd thing did me and my friends encounter on top of that hillside forest? It was an abandoned pool. It was one of those above ground ones and it looked filthy. Ireland doesn't have the best weather for outdoor pools, so why'd we find one in a forest? Better yet, who's rich enough to just toss one out in the woods?
Guys, I think we're a little far away from the meadow. What's going on?
Should we finally tell her that throughout this whole adventure we've kept something important from you? The truth is, we quit knitting. It was getting too stressful.
Unlike our new hobby.
So, after finding a disgusting pool, we didn't want to turn back. I was determined to know what else or who else was out there. But the only direction that would take us further seemed to be through a big nearby bush. Okay guys, we're a little far from home, but we've made it this far. Intact, healthy, normal. Let's go through. And we did. It felt like going through Narnia. So what was on the other side of the bush? Did we find something? Or someone? Kinda both, and not really in the best way. We found a giant house with a huge garden. We were on a little slope hilltop of the garden looking down upon it all. We just stood there for 2 minutes admiring the landscape. Look, it was a warm day and we were tired, so we had to take it all in. The whole property looked very fancy. I think I know who dumped that pool. Listen, it was great, but you ever go somewhere and think, maybe I shouldn't be located here. Common sense kicked in that we were on someone else's property, so after a bit, Mattress, Coffee and I decided to leave. But my sister wanted to stay and climb a tree. So we left her there, knowing she'd catch up. Eventually. Oh brother, please, Mattress, I'm telling you, he's the one who knocks.
And you're the one who spoils.
It's an amazing show, just give it a chance.
This tree is way better than the ones they have in the meadow. I shall proceed to stare at it for a prolonged period of time and not look away whatsoever.
Teacher, you want to live in a school for the rest of your life?
I don't think it works like that. And it's just a consideration.
Would you at least know how to act tough around them?
Oi Billy, take that homework out or I'll take you out of here. And, I won't be very happy with you.
Might want to work on that oi.
Yeah, your oi was a bit off.
Come on, we'll help ya. It's all about the delivery. Oi!
Oi.
Oi!
Oi.
Oi.
Oi!
Oi.
Oi.
Oi!
Oi.
Oi.
Toy!
Oi.
Oi!
Oi.
Oi! Oi!
Oi.
Oi!
Oi.
Oi.
Oi! Oi!
Oi.
Oi.
Oi!
Oi.
We had to escape the woods as fast as possible. My sister was definitely caught since she was climbing that tree in his garden. I was terrified that a stranger was possibly chasing us for being on his land. We knew nothing about him. We just heard his angry voice. I blame knitting for this. After the most scary experience of my life, Mattress, Coffee and I got back to the house safe and sound. Luckily, we just barely made it through that bush without getting spotted. Unlike my sister, who arrived like 30 seconds later since we got a head start, but she still escaped just in time. We were all very nervous that the man who shouted followed us home. What if he arrives here? Us four were just exploring and happened to stumble into his inconveniently placed garden. So none of us wanted him to show up and complain to my parents. Since my sister was the main one who got caught, she was the most anxious about the whole thing. But luckily, nothing happened after that. No angry neighbor person came knocking on our door, and it was a happily ever after. Oh no. It's the last episode of that amazing show about an angry neighbor person knocking on someone's door. What a shame. I always wanted a season 4. He didn't show up. Since there were no complaints, our stress faded, and the rest of the sleepover was great. Yippee! Why did that guy abandon his pool? Nobody knows.
When will you get around to adding that nose?
I don't have a nose for this story.
I'm sure that whoever shouted at us was a relatively nice person. If kids stumbled into my garden, I'd be pissy too. But only hearing that angry voice terrified us. I feel a little bad for him because we all robbed him of peace. Anyways, we moved out of the countryside and went back to the city house again. Overall, I've had nice memories there. Going on adventures is good. Just know when to turn back. Trust me.
And that's the time I ate Grandma's ginger biscuits.
Is this story true?
I
really should mend that stool soon. Patricia! I still haven't gotten my food! Where's Patricia?
Step on it!
Patricia? If you've run out of turkey, I'd like your massive buns. With cheese.